Cheers, guys, and welcome to Uncle Scott's Pancast. That is my first sip ever of Modelo. After the controversy and bans and everything with that other beer brand, I just read that Modelo is now the #1 beer in America. And I'd never had one before. In the supermarket the other day, I saw someone pick some up. Fairly tasty. Now, it's not an IPA, but after mowing the yard here in the Utah summertime heat, I think I'd drink a Modelo. So I'm going to give it a try. How's everybody doing? It's been a while since the last Pancast. My wife has started an unauthorized flower beds project. Had everybody out there working on that, and I haven't been able to get to the Pancast for a few days. In today's Pancast, we're going to talk about carbon steel pans, seasoning carbon steel. We're going to talk about Helen Rennie, another cooking video person here on YouTube. We're going to talk about an email I got from someone from Norway, the gas stove ban, and more. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, I did a video a week or so ago on how to season a carbon steel skillet using an oven. And in that video, I mentioned that you should use one of 4 or 5 different oils, either sunflower, grapeseed, canola, vegetable, or peanut sometimes. I'm going to throw peanut in there. And set your oven temperature to 475 degrees. I got some feedback, and people are wondering why 475 degrees. Let's talk about that for a moment. And here I want to divide carbon steel people into kind of 2 camps. There are people who have been using their skillets for a long time, seasoned over and over, and know how to cook in them and know what they're doing. And then there are other people who are new and kind of need some help to eliminate some of the headaches and get started correctly. A lot of what we do around here at Uncle Scott's Kitchen is helping the people who are new. So I want to kind of keep everybody well within the herd and do things that I am very confident work well for people who are new. And that helps if someone is new and they cook something and it sticks. If we know the pan is seasoned correctly, then we can try and figure out the problem why something is sticking. Are you cooking at the wrong temperature? Is the pan not heated correctly, etc., etc. But as long as we all do a consistent seasoning method that works early on, it eliminates the headaches and we can focus on the cooking. Now, I mentioned those oils. Those oils all have a smoking point between 400 and 450 degrees. And if you go with 475 to season in your oven, you should have a little wiggle room there. You're above the oil smoking point, and and ovens are also notoriously not accurate, so it gives you a little bit of wiggle room there. I know the fancy oven range setup I have upstairs, you've seen some of the other videos, that thing is off by 25 degrees at every temperature along the dial. So if I want something at 350 degrees, I have to set the dial at 375. It's an analog dial. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there. If you go a little bit higher, that just kind of gives you a little bit more margin of error to make sure you're a little bit above those oils smoking points. Now, someone is going to ask, if 475 is good, why not 500? If you want to, you can go a little bit higher. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I would say once you get up to 500 and above, lots of home ovens don't go much above 500 to begin with, and you can kind of get in a little bit of trouble up there. That is really, really hot. You don't want to cause any problems with fire risk or anything like that. Also, if you get the pan too hot, you can actually burn the seasoning all the way off. So I like that oil to kind of have some time to cure and harden in without being so hot that it burns off and all completely goes away. And if you get your pan too hot, up 700 to 800 degrees, you can actually blue the steel. And I don't think you want to do that, at least not in a home oven for when you're getting started seasoning carbon steel. So 475 I think works really well. Someone always asks me, I get these questions, can I use ghee? Can I use beef tallow? Can I use bacon fat? Some sort of weird Malaysian virgin press, coconut oil, whatever. You can do all that kind of stuff, but I would wait until you're comfortable with your carbon steel skillet, 3 months, 6 months. If you can slide an egg, if you've seasoned several times and kind of know what you're doing, then try that exotic stuff and it'll be fine there. When you're new, I would stay safely within the herd and do what works well and eliminate the headaches and get started cooking in your carbon steel. Try the other stuff down the road. Let's talk about Helen Rennie. Have you guys ever seen any of Helen Rennie's videos? She's a cooking content creator here on YouTube. Got a very big channel, over 500,000 subscribers, so pretty big cheese in the YouTube cooking world, much bigger than Uncle Scott's Kitchen. She did a video the other day about carbon steel skillets and was talking about that made-in skillet. And watching that video, and several people wrote in and told me about this. If you fast forward to about 9 minutes and 30 seconds into the video.
After a bit of Googling, I found out that my experience with made-in carbon steel pan is not unique. If you want to see way more testing of this pan, check out Uncle Scott's video. Scott shows you many different ingredients: ground beef, sausage patties, bacon, zucchini, okra, and he doesn't just test this pan on.
And honestly, I think this is some of Helen Rennie's best work, maybe her best video ever. All kidding aside, thank you to Helen for the shout out, and I will put a link to her video down below if you want to check it out. Okay, let's talk about this Debouillet Mineral B Pro Carbon Steel Omelette Pan. Got an email or a comment from Johnny Woo. It says he got it, he bought the pan. He says it's the best carbon steel pan he has. He says the only negative he can say is that it is heavy and can be difficult to slide an omelet off of because of the weight. So weight and carbon steel, I think these two things are not separate. I think they are connected. I think one reason that he probably thinks that pan is the best and that it works so well for eggs is because it is heavy. I think it's somewhat cause and effect here. I think the heaviness, the thickness of the carbon steel really does improve the cooking. And I'm not a big fan of lighter carbon steel. I think the lighter ones warp and you have more trouble with hot spots and really high fluctuations in temperature. I do prefer the heavier carbon steel. Nick Schaffner wrote in about All-Clad pans. He was looking at the I believe the copper core, and said for $250 he finds it hard to believe that that pan does not come with a lid. That is kind of hard to believe, as definitely a pricier pan. He says he likes the D3s. Those D3s, usually you can find that 12-inch, 12.5-inch D3 All-Clad for roughly $129. Sometimes they go on sale with a lid though. So if you want the lid all included, maybe that D3 might be the way to go. But even without a lid, I think I do prefer that copper core a little bit more myself. Also talking about All-Clad, Into Skiing 76 wrote in and said he had the D3, D5, and copper core. So he's got all three of those kind of main lines there for All-Clad. He said he gave away the D3 to his sister-in-law. He likes the D5 and copper core better. I kind of agree with this too. I think the D3, I have friends that ask, I had a buddy, he and his wife were renovating their kitchen. They want to get some, kind of moving up to doing some real deal cooking and get a good set of cookware. I always say start at D3, and then if your budget and needs allow, and you want All-Clad, go up to the D5 or the copper core. That's what I would do. I think D3 is kind of like the entryway, kind of like the gateway drug, if you will, into the world of doing more real deal cooking. Start there with your base level and then move up from there as budget and needs dictate. Let's see, we had mentioned the gas stove ban in the last episode, talking about that chef, celebrity chef in California who got an exemption or an exception to open his restaurant. He got exempted from the gas stove ban, and I just mentioned that he happened to be a big time donor to a lot of liberal Democrat causes, and wondered if that might have helped. Isabel AB wrote in and said there's more to the story, and said that he had put in his application a couple of years ago and was waiting for approval, I guess, and he might have been grandfathered in there. My question here is, did all those political donations, there's no way those hurt. They probably helped a lot. Also, I wonder if there are other restaurants that had applied for permits and were waiting. Are they going to get exceptions as well, or just this one particular celebrity chef? Who knows? Let's just hope it's at least fairly enforced. Isabel also says she had been cooking on a glass top stove the last 7 years. First hated it. Eventually got a gas stove. Didn't like it at first, but now loves having her gas stove. Isabel also said she ordered the Debouillé omelette pan, and she's wondering if she can season it on her stovetop. Absolutely, I love seasoning carbon steel on a gas stovetop. That's my favorite way. It works really well, it's fast, and you're up and cooking in 10-15 minutes rather than having to wait for the ovens. She also mentions she wants to use her stove because she's been using her oven as storage space. Okay, Isabel, get that stuff out of your oven. Start doing some cooking. Ovens are for cooking. They are not for storage space. More carbon steel seasoning. Peaches Watley wrote in about her first Matfer carbon steel, and she's wanting to season it, and she's going to do that potato peels, oil, and salt method that we've shown in several of the videos and what the older Matfer pans call for. She's got some questions about that. She wants to know, can she use the skins of sweet potatoes? Also, she says that she has to use white salt. She's got pink salt, and she doesn't want to use canola oil because she already has some avocado oil. Here, I want to re-illustrate this point again. When you're new and uncomfortable with your carbon steel, I wouldn't try anything out of the norm. I would go get some russet potatoes for that Matfer. I would get some white salt and use the canola oil and do it just like we showed in the video. We all know that works. If you try sweet potato peels, pink salt, and avocado oil, and do that method, and then you start cooking and something doesn't go right, you don't know what the problem is. Are you cooking at the wrong temperature, or is your pan not preheated? Hello, bud. Come here, man. Say hey.
Hello. Hello, Farfeaster.
Okay. Is it the salt? Are you not heating correctly? Are you cooking incorrectly? Or did something go wrong with the seasoning? Did the seasoning not take correctly? I wouldn't do anything out of the norm early on. Stick to what we know what works. Get your pan up and cooking. And then 3 months, 6 months down the road, if you want to try something a little more exotic, then by all means go for it. But you'll know what you're doing by then. Here's to conformity. J.W. Boats wrote in and said he just bought a Debouillé Mineral B. He ground off the epoxy coating on the handle. He said it works great. I hear people doing this sometimes, and if you want to try it, it's your pan, it's your money. I don't recommend grinding down your brand new, beautiful carbon steels, but if you want to, it's a free country. Got some feedback from Norway. Halvard Trygg Storvik, probably mispronouncing that, wrote in. So thank you and cheers to Norway. Great to hear from someone from Norway. Last Pancast, we had someone wrote in from Ireland. So people all over the world talking about carbon steel skillets. He says he's been using a pan called a Kockums Jernverk, and it says they are made in Sweden. It's a carbon steel skillet made in Sweden. I'm not sure if they are sold here in the US, but he sent me a link to that. And I'm going to see if I can check out one of these Swedish carbon steel pans. Maybe they use them for cooking their lingonberries. But I do get people writing in from around the world. I know some of the Dardos are made in Argentina. These are made in Sweden. So there are some kind of exotic carbon steel pans that we need to try around here. So thank you to Halvard for writing in, and cheers again to Norway. Watch out for those trolls. One other thing Halvard mentioned is that he responded to a comment below a video here on Uncle Scott's Kitchen here on YouTube, and he said his comment disappeared after a couple of minutes. I've gotten this from a couple other people lately. I don't know if something is going on with the YouTube system, but I am not deleting comments. People accuse me sometimes of, why did you delete my comment? I don't delete comments, and I don't know if something is going on with the system. But if you post something and it disappears and it's something important, you can also get in touch with me over on Twitter at USK Uncle Scott if for some reason the comment section below the videos is not working. So no, I am not deleting comments, and sometimes computers do odd things. I don't know why some of the comments are disappearing. Okay, that wraps up for this episode. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Pancast.